The room burst into laughter the moment he said the word Harvard, until the unexpected happened. A Harvard dean stepped in and asked for him by name. But before that, Jalen Brooks was standing in front of the class, gripping the edge of his vision board, his nerves coiled tight. "You want to go where?" The question didn't come from one of his classmates. It came from the teacher, Mr. Whitaker, standing at the front of the room, a pile of worn textbooks under one arm and a smirk smeared across his face. Jalen stood frozen beside the projector cart, his heart pounding against his ribs. Mr. Whitaker narrowed his eyes at Jalen's board like it had personally insulted him. "Harvard," he repeated with a mocking tone, raising his voice for effect. "As in, the Harvard?" Laughter rippled through the classroom, not outright mean, just confused. A few chuckles. Someone coughed. A girl near the window whispered, "Wait, is he for real?" Jalen didn't say anything. He only nodded, barely, like any more certainty might crack the floor beneath him. His board displayed the Harvard logo in bold red, carefully cut from a library brochure, surrounded by photos of courtrooms, law books, the Supreme Court, and a single image of a young black lawyer at a podium. It was a dream. Nothing more, but nothing less. Mr. Whitaker clicked his tongue. "Might want to aim a bit lower, yeah?" he said with a sarcastic smile, sliding a hand lazily into his pocket. "Dreams are supposed to have a little reality in them." A few more giggles spread. One student mockingly wrote Harvard on his board and pretended to hold it up, laughing to himself. Jalen looked down at his poster. The glue streak stood out now. The once proud Harvard seal felt like a sticker from a child's notebook. His throat tightened. His voice, and when he tried to speak, failed him completely. He returned to his seat without a word. "All right," Mr. Whitaker said casually, flipping through his list. "Next up, Alicia." Jalen slumped into his usual seat at the back of the room, the one where teachers often forgot he was even there. This time, though, he wished they had. He could feel it. Side glances, muffled laughs, fake whispers that weren't really whispers at all. He turned his poster face down. Maybe he'd overreached. Maybe a dream that big just wasn't meant for someone like him. The thought started to settle into his chest like heavy fog. And then the door creaked open. Heads turned. Mr. Whitaker looked up, clearly annoyed. A tall woman stepped inside. She wore a black blazer, a crisp white blouse, and large silver hoops that shimmered beneath the classroom lights. Her presence radiated calm authority. She walked with purpose. "Excuse me," she said, her voice smooth and certain. "I'm looking for Jalen Brooks." Mr. Whitaker blinked. "Sorry, who?" "Jalen Brooks," she repeated, eyes scanning the room until they landed at the back. Every head twisted toward him. Jalen, stunned, raised his hand slowly. The woman smiled. "I'm Dr. Camille Howard, Associate Dean of Admissions at Harvard University." The silence was deafening. She turned to Mr. Whitaker. "I'd like a moment with Jalen, if that's all right." For once, Mr. Whitaker had nothing to say, just a dry, speechless nod. Jalen stood, his heart pounding again, but this time for a completely different reason. This didn't feel real, but Dr. Howard looked at him like he belonged there, like this was exactly where he was supposed to be. He followed her out of the room. No one spoke, not even Mr. Whitaker. Just before the door closed behind him, Jalen glanced back. Mr. Whitaker still hadn't spoken, but there was something different on his face now. Silence and maybe, just maybe, a trace of shame. By fifth period, everyone knew. As Jalen stepped into the cafeteria, it felt like the whole place turned to watch. He kept his head down, held his tray close. His usual table in the back now felt a mile away. "Yo, Harvard," someone called from near the soda machine. "Save me a bed in the dorm." A few kids chuckled, not cruelly, just unsure. Jalen gave a small smile and kept walking. He sat down beside Trayvon Jins, his best friend since they were kids, back when they thought astronauts spent all day bouncing on trampolines. Trayvon silently slid a juice box his way. "You good?" he asked after a beat. Jalen nodded. "Yeah." The silence between them sat thick like wet cement. Then Trayvon leaned in. "So, what did she say?" Jalen hesitated. "She said she read my essay." Trayvon blinked. "What essay?" "The one for that summer program. Miss Patel must have sent it in." "I didn't even know." Trayvon's eyes widened. "Wait, so she came here because of that?" Jalen nodded again. Trayvon shook his head in disbelief. "Man, a real Harvard person at our school." Jalen gave a small laugh. "Yeah." But even as they joked, Jalen could feel it, the quiet curiosity. He cafeteria wasn't loud today. It was watching. He caught Alicia whispering to another girl. They both glanced his way and quickly looked down when he noticed. Then came the voice that made his stomach drop. "Guess I gotta start telling my kid to dream about Mars," Mr. Whitaker muttered behind him, chuckling to Coach Reiner. He didn't say Jalen's name, but he didn't have to. The tone, the timing, it was all meant for him. Jalen stared down at his tray. The chicken nuggets had gone cold. Trayvon clenched his jaw. "He's just mad someone finally saw you before he did." Jalen didn't answer. He didn't want to give Mr. Whitaker's words more power, but they echoed in his head anyway. That same sarcastic tone. It stuck like gum in your hair. Back in class, Mr. Whitaker pretended like nothing had happened. He talked about Civil War history like usual. But Jalen noticed the difference. The teacher kept sneaking quick glances in his direction. Tight, puzzled stares like he was trying to figure out a problem that didn't make sense. Jalen didn't look up. He kept writing in his notebook, even the things he already knew. Anything to stay focused. Anything not to look back. But the questions still crawled under his skin. Why'd he say that? Why does it bother him that I applied? Is it really that hard to believe I could belong there? Those questions hurt more than the stares. That night, Jalen lay awake, staring at the Harvard seal pinned above his desk. It looked different now. He couldn't tell if it felt closer or farther. All he knew was that it didn't feel fake anymore. But alongside that hope was a quiet, heavy whisper in the back of his mind. What if they're all right? What if you mess this up? Then he remembered the way Dr. Howard looked at him, like he already belonged. And the whisper faded a little. The apartment smelled like lavender and lemon. That's how he knew his mom was home. He dropped his backpack by the door and sank into the couch. "Jay," his mom called from the kitchen. "Yeah." She appeared holding a container of prepped meals. Her scrubs were wrinkled, her ponytail a little lopsided, but her face glowed. This was Brianna Brooks, tired outside, steel on the inside. "How was school?" she asked, opening the fridge. Jalen hesitated. She noticed. "What happened?" He shrugged. "Weird day." "Weird how?" "You remember that Harvard summer prep thing Miss Patel told me about? The one I told you to apply for." "Yeah, well, someone from Harvard came to the school today." Her eyes widened. "Wait, what?" "Dr. Camille Howard, Associate Dean." She stared at him like he'd said the president had visited. "And what did she say?" "She read my essay," Jalen said, smiling just a little. "And she wants to talk more about next steps." Brianna covered her mouth, eyes filling. "Jalen, Jay, that's incredible." He gave a shy shrug. "Yeah, I guess." She wouldn't let it slide. She came over, wrapped him in a hug so tight it felt like she was trying to stamp the moment onto his soul. "I'm proud of you, baby," she whispered. So proud." Sure, here's a rewritten version of the story using emotional, rich language with simple, clear vocabulary, keeping it heartfelt and inspiring. Jalen let his shoulders drop for just a moment. His mom had a way of making things feel real, bringing everything back to what mattered most. At 9:30, a wave of pride washed over her face. It wasn't the kind of pride you show off with loud words or big gestures. It was deeper. She knew how badly he wanted this. She stepped back a little, studying him closely. "So," she asked, "what's the part that's got you feeling weird?" Jalen hesitated. "Mr. Whitaker, he made fun of it, like in front of everybody. Said Harvard wasn't realistic, like I was being stupid." Brianna's jaw tightened, just slightly. "That man ever do anything but run his mouth?" Jalen shook his head. "Not before Dr. Howard came. I think he thought I was just pretending." Brianna didn't yell. She didn't even curse. She just exhaled. A long, slow breath that said more than words ever could. Then finally, "That's exactly why you need to go. Some people can't imagine anything beyond their own limits, so they try to pass those limits to other people. Like party favors." Jalen laughed. "You've been watching motivational videos again?" She smiled. "No need. I've got you." He looked down, a little shy, but it wasn't the kind of shy that made him want to hide. It was the kind that felt warm, like sunlight. His mom always knew how to say the right thing. Later that night, after she went to bed, Jalen sat at his desk. Notes and articles surrounded him, ripped out pages from magazines, deadlines, dreams scribbled in ink. His room was simple: a mattress, a shelf, and a second-hand desk they got from a yard sale. But the walls, they told a different story. Quotes from Toni Morrison, Barack Obama, Brian Stevenson, pictures of college campuses, a note from Ms. Patel that said, "Your brain is a gold mine. Keep digging." And in the center of it all, tacked just above eye level, was a Harvard crest. He stared at it. Once it felt like a symbol of something too big for someone like him. Now it felt possible, not promised, not certain, but possible. As that hope began to lift him, doubt crept in, quiet and cold. But then Jalen realized this wasn't just about Harvard anymore. This was about proving that someone like him belonged anywhere he dared to dream. Monday came with rain, a cold, gray drizzle that made the school hallways smell like wet sneakers and wax. Jalen moved quietly through the crowd, hoodie halfway up, earbuds in. They weren't playing anything, just blocking the world out. At his locker, as he switched out books, a soft voice broke through the noise. "Jalen!" He turned. Ms. Patel stood there, coffee in hand, her smile warm and kind, never fake. "Got a minute?" He nodded, and they walked into her empty classroom. Posters covered the walls. Maya Angelou, Lorraine Hansberry, August Wilson. Her room always smelled like cinnamon and paper. "I wanted to tell you something," she said, sipping from her mug. "I sent in your essay." Jalen blinked. "Wait, what?" "The one from last semester, about growing up here. I fixed the grammar, wrote a cover letter, and submitted it to the Crimson Futures program." She smiled. "And it worked." Jalen's mouth dropped open. "That's how Dr. Howard found me?" She nodded. "You earned that attention. I just opened the door." Jalen lowered his eyes. "Thank you." "You don't owe me anything," she said. "Just promise me something." "What's that?" "Don't let anyone shrink your dream just because they stopped dreaming a long time ago." Her words stuck to him like glue. That afternoon, Jalen sat through Mr. Whitaker's class like usual, or at least he tried to. He could feel Whitaker's eyes on him. Less smug now, more unsure. When class ended, Jalen stayed back, pretending to organize his binder. "Got a minute?" Whitaker asked, voice low. Jalen froze. "Sure." Whitaker leaned on a desk, trying to look casual. "So Harvard, huh?" Jalen didn't answer. Whitaker scratched his chin. "Didn't know they recruited freshmen." Jalen kept his voice calm. They don't. It's for a summer prep program. Still, Whitaker said, that's impressive. Silence. Then finally, maybe I was a little harsh last week. I didn't mean anything by it. Jalen stared. I've seen kids fall hard. Figured keeping it realistic might help. Jalen met his eyes. Or maybe you just didn't believe I could do it. Whitaker opened his mouth, then shut it. Jalen picked up his backpack. You didn't have to say anything, but you did, in front of everyone. Whitaker stood straighter. Maybe I was wrong. Jalen didn't say a word. He didn't need to, because suddenly those old doubts didn't carry the same weight anymore. That evening, Jalen sat at the table with his mom, eating chicken and rice. Simple, hot, good. She glanced at her phone and lit up. They just sent the official invite, she said, holding out the screen. There it was, the Harvard seal, his name, the dates, the schedule. His hands trembled. I don't know if I'm ready. She looked at him with love in her eyes. Who's ever ready for their dreams? You don't wait to feel ready. You go anyway. He looked at her, really looked, and nodded. Thursday felt ordinary. Dry sky, early arrival, science, math, history, nothing unusual. Then came the knock. 3 soft taps. Dr. Camille Howard walked in. No blazer today, just a green dress, flats, a folio in her arms. Same calm power, same unshakable presence. I'm looking for Jalen Brooks, she said. Heads turned. His heart raced. There you are, she smiled. Whitaker tried to keep his composure. You're Dr. Howard? From Harvard? She nodded. Today's visit is personal. We have updates for Mr. Brooks. Jalen didn't wait. He grabbed his notebook and followed her out. You came back? He asked, barely above a whisper. I told you we'd stay in touch, she said. Your essay, it stood out. You didn't just talk about Harvard. You showed us the kind of man you're becoming. He couldn't speak. We're offering you a full scholarship, she added. Travel, housing, meals covered. You even have a mentor. Jalen blinked, heart pounding. I'm really going? You're going. He leaned against the wall, overwhelmed. You belong there, Jalen, she said. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Before she left, he asked, why me? She smiled gently. Because most people wait for someone to tell them no. You told yourself yes. Jalen stepped back into the classroom. He didn't have to say a thing. The silence said it all. That day changed something. For him, for the whole room. Even Mr. Whitaker couldn't hide the shift in the air. Later, as Jalen packed up to leave, Whitaker called out, Jalen, he turned. I just wanted to say, congratulations. And I was wrong about you. Jalen didn't boast. He just said, I know. In the hallway, Ms. Patel was waiting. Ready to tell the world? She asked. Jalen smiled. Not yet, but soon. That night, he filled out every form, every box checked, his mom watching over him. You ready? She asked when they were done. He looked up. Yeah, I think I am. She kissed the top of his head. Then go. Take it all. Weeks later, Jalen stepped off a plane in Boston, carrying just a bag, 3 books, and a folder full of dreams. He walked the campus like he belonged, because now he knew he did. In his first seminar, when the professor asked what brought them there, Jalen kept it simple. Some people said I didn't belong, he said, so I showed up anyway. Back home, the school framed his acceptance. Mr. Whitaker didn't say much after that, but he started listening more. And sometimes, just sometimes, he'd tell a student, you know, a guy from here got into Harvard once. Anything's possible. Some people only see limits. Others, like Jalen, break them. Not to prove anyone wrong, but to prove they were right to believe in themselves all along. So if you're holding a dream that feels too big, don't shrink it. Don't wait. Stand up. Say it out loud. Walk anyway.